Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of Soul Led CEO. I am your host, Kay Miller, and I am joined today by a very special friend of mine. She is one of my coaches and just my favorite person to talk spiritual and all things woo-woo with. So I'm really excited to share her with you guys today. Her name is Claire Gorman. She is a spiritual medical intuitive who helps people heal on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And Claire, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. I'm really privileged. I can't believe I'm number one.
Yes, you
Yeah.
helped me get it going and know all the things. And so you get to be number one.
Great. Love it. Okay. Welcome everybody to Kay's show.
Yes. So, let's, so we're going to talk about spiritual healing today, right? So
Yeah.
first, Claire, just tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people.
Oh, okay. So it's been a real journey for me. Um, what I do now is that I tend to help females only, and they tend to be entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs are normally naturally drawn to me. I help them in so many different ways. So I'm all about getting into alignment, getting into flow, living your true passion and purpose, because that was something that I wasn't living my true passion and purpose. And I really help them up level in all areas of their life. So I really struggle with like just niching down. I'm one of those people that when I work with someone, I want them to have abundance in all areas of their life. So whether that's emotionally, physically, but when I talk about abundance in all areas of their life, it's, looking at an abundance of health, of well-being, of time, financial as well. So, I like to work with them over a long period of time, but really up leveling all areas of their life. I help a lot of people find their passion and their purpose. I give them a lot of confidence, clarity, guidance. So, yes, some people might come to me and just have the odd session here or there, but what they tend to find is that they work with me over, 1 or 2, maybe even 3 years, because they have that time where they're really healing from the past, really accepting who they are in this present moment to start really living their passion and their purpose for their future. So, yeah, that's what I do, which is great.
Yes, yeah, it's wonderful, and I can attest to that. It's almost like you work through one level of kind of, and then you move into the next. So, in terms of our working together, just being able to attest to the healing, and then kind of moving into the next room, if you will, together to that next level. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of people well, they'll come to me to work on their business and stuff like that. But the trajectory of their business when they first start is like we're on a different GPS map. So 9 times out of 10, we have to do a few like deep healings because actually what the potential for them is far greater than what they believe. So when they've done some healing around the past, whether it was a past childhood, whether it's a past life or anything like that, they start off on a completely different GPS map with their business because their self-belief has completely changed. So, what the universe has in store for them is far greater than what they can believe, but they just need to let go of some of that old past conditioning to be able to step into their potential. And I had a client yesterday and this was her fourth session, right? And we'd done some massive healings on her, and she's a person that is similar to me. Actually, she's in the beauty trade. So my background was I was in the hair and beauty industry and personal styling for like 30 odd years. And she wants to step into the healing arena, but she's dancing around with this at the moment, right? So she's, well, I'll be a body worker, I'll be a Reiki, I'll do massage. And I just said to her, do you really want to do that? And she was like, well, I said, come on, what's your ultimate? And she's like, mediumship. And I was like, oh, I'm getting tingles. It's like, so why are you thinking of doing like, you know, this type of healing and that type of healing and courses in this when you actually just want to do mediumship? And she's
Mhm.
like, yeah, but I think I need to keep doing those stepping stones. I was like, no, please don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Come on, we're going to work on, right, now I know what you really want and what is your passion, and that you're not frightened of coming out the spiritual closet. You know,
Mhm.
we've cleared, you know, like the witch wound and all of the persecution stuff. I was like, come on, this is what we're going to do. And she was just like, her face was just the amount of stress and pressure that's come off of her, because she wasn't living her authentic, what she truly desires, but it was just holding that space for her, healing some of the conditioning that's gone on that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to really just stepping her in. You know, we've just literally jumped probably 5 years of wasted time on all of these different modalities, where she just wants to focus on the one and that's what she wants to do. And come on, we're going to do it. I'm holding space for you to do that. Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think in that? So, like her resistance of going all in and jumping into the mediumship versus dabbling in these other
Yeah.
modalities first. What do you think is that barrier? What causes
The
us to do
barrier is criticism and judgment of others.
that?
You know, there's still that, you know, coming out the spiritual closet. Whereas one of those things was, I didn't really have it too much. I had it a little bit. And my husband said to me one day, why, when you say what you do, why do you laugh about it? He said, if that's what you do, that's what you do. And I thought, God, yeah, that's interesting. And I said, well, I was just testing the water to see how it would be perceived with what I do. And he said, just own it. And I was like, okay, I'm owning it. So I owned it. And that's the thing, you know, a lot of women, and it goes like women, it goes with men. You see it a lot in the healing arena. You see it a lot on social media, right? And it's the persecution of the, we call it the witch wound. So 9 million women were persecuted over that timeline, you know, thousands of years, right? And you see it on Facebook now, where people don't put a profile picture up on their Facebook and things like that, right? They have struggle with visibility, they struggle with speaking up, speaking their truth, they struggle with boundaries. It's much more deeper than just in the spiritual realm, right? It goes through lots of different women, and they really struggle with showing up online. And that's one of the things that you know, I help a lot of women with. And you saw it a lot when back in COVID, where a lot of businesses had to go online, and a lot of people would turn their cameras off, male and female. Yeah, it goes back to this persecution, this criticism, this judgment, not like seeing themselves. You know, I healed a lot of that throughout my
Mm-hmm.
hairdressing. I'm getting tingles again. My hairdressing career, because I had 35 years in front of a mirror. I had to see myself day in, day out, and I communicated with women through the mirror. You know, your hairdresser stands behind you and talks to you through the mirror. So, you know, when Zoom came out, oh, it didn't worry me at all. You know, actually, I find it really hard if I'm not looking at myself.
Right.
You
I
know, and I had to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. Yeah, I didn't like looking at myself in the mirror, but that actually led me to a lot of mirror, like doing mirror work, unintentionally, mirror work, you know, the work of like beautiful Louise L. Hay. But yeah, you see this persecution and judgment wound coming up a lot. And when you've got this persecution and judgment wound, um, you will tend to manifest people like being a little bit judgmental with you in your comments online. I
Mhm.
even saw it the other day. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if I told you about this, Kate. And there was a spiritual woman being a guest speaker up on the stage. And I was at a conference and I was with other people on the table, and I told everybody, you know, what I do. And they were like, oh, that's fascinating, amazing, right? But the table behind me, because the woman got up and spoke and then later was the guest speaker, they were taking the mickey out of her. Like, and I could hear this. And the chap that I was sat next to, he said to me, oh, would you like a glass of water? Because he could hear what they were saying too. And he knew, he was like, but that's what you do, stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, because she was a medical medium. And I could hear one of the women, actually, it was a woman on the table saying to these other guys, go on, get up and ask her if she sees like dead people in the room. Ask her if she's a ghostbuster, like really, really out of order. And I was like, wow. And he did get up and challenge her on it. And I was like, Kate, it's still going on. And after the talk, I went up to her later and I said, oh, we have a lot in common, etc. And I said, you handled that beautifully with what I said and what you said. And she said, well, I didn't really understand what he was getting on about. And I said, well, I could hear the conversation. And I said, it's the persecution of the witch wound. A lot of people are really triggered by, other people saying that they're spiritual. So a lot of us don't come out the spiritual closet because of that. And, and it goes back to that persecution. Unfortunately, back in the day, the women lost a lot, and they were accused of stuff that they weren't they weren't doing. They were just using their intuition. Yeah.
Women,
Or herbs and remedies. Absolutely. So
women,
hopefully it's changing. I can see it's changing, but every now and again you do still see it. So I did give her my business card and tell her to come and have it cleared.
yes. And for, those who maybe have not heard of the witch wound before, maybe we can explain too, it's not just past life wounds, it's traumas, it's also a genetic passed down kind of thing. And we're
Absolutely.
all traumatized by this.
Absolutely. So we can bring it through from our past life, from our soul, okay? And it can come through the ancestral line as well. The interesting thing is, like this next generation, so my daughter's like 18. A lot of them don't tend to have it coming on online, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of them are online, so they are quite visible. But where it does sort of show up in our next sort of generations is the fact of like this online bullying.
Mm.
So it can come through with that. But yeah, you can bring it. It can be in your DNA. So you're bringing it through your ancestors. You
Mhm.
can bring it through from past lives and stuff like that. Absolutely, and it will
Yeah.
affect your business 100%. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean we
Yeah.
call it a witch wound, right? But it
Hmm.
is like it's probably easier to say a female wound, a
Hmm.
female would, and you'll hold yourself back, and you can hold yourself back to honor other women. So like you go and be coached and mentored, right?
Hmm.
um and you will hold yourself back to your coach and mentor because you won't rise above it. And this was something that I found. I only cleared, I must honor the lead witch. That's the saying that we use.
Hmm.
I've done a lot of witch wound stuff, right? Women confidence stuff. But I actually found this in me a couple of years ago, and it made so much sense. I was like, oh my God, I could see it flash between my whole life. Where, in the hairdressing business, when, I went from first stage apprentice to second stage apprentice, right? I actually had to move salons because my boss turned around and said, you won't make it as a second year apprentice. And I was like, hang on a minute, you asked me to be the apprentice. You asked me to leave college because you thought I was amazing. My mum was a hairdresser. I was pretty good, right? And then
Hmm.
from second year to third year, I had to leave another salon because what it does, it stops you rising above. They want to lock you in at that level. So what you find is that you lose job promotions, or you're not seen worthy as a job promotion or a pay rise. You get overlooked. Yeah, you
Hmm.
stay in the shadows. Yeah,
And
or your boss takes all
mhm.
your ideas and presents them,
Yeah,
and it's your work. Stuff like that
right.
plays out with it. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely fascinating.
I would even say like, feeling like other people are playing a game and you're not interested in playing, and it just kind of all
Yeah.
unfolds without you. You're sitting on the sidelines, you're sitting in the
Yes.
background. People are taking
Yes.
your ideas, and yeah,
Yes.
just sitting silent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And it
yeah,
crushes you. It crushes you financially. Absolutely.
yeah, yes. all of that is so interesting. So how did you get into working in your soul led path? How did you get here?
Really interesting. People come into your life for a reason, right? So, how did I get into the healing arena? So, I manifested poor health. Okay, I was, in the hairdressing industry. Lots of chemicals, lots of toxins, working long hours, yada yada yada, etc. etc. And I was burnt out. I was burnt out. So, um, I actually, now I look back, I was actually healing my clients, doing their hair. So they would
Mhm.
come, and as you normally do, you talk to your hairdresser about everything. Your hairdresser knows more than your husband. Okay. I did know a lot about my clients. Absolutely.
But yeah,
We
yeah.
had this say, how they say, what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. So it was like what goes on in the salon stays in the salon. It was very hot like that. Okay, really interesting. So I was burnt out. I had migraines, I had women problems, all of that malarkey. But I was like shamanic. I was taking on all their stuff, but I didn't know how to release it. So it was cool. Not only was I burnt out, I carried these clients' stuff. They'd leave the salon feeling absolutely amazing, and I was absolutely, I was going on. And this might resonate with some of your listeners. So, they would leave as an empath and a sensitive. They would leave the salon feeling amazing. And then for days later, I'd be processing all their stuff. I'd be like worried about their son being bullied at school, worried about their money, worried about this, worried about that. And I was like, what is going on? So I went on a healing journey. I went to, I'm English, but I'm out here in Australia. So out here in Australia is very much more, a little bit alternative and holistic. So we have the naturopaths, we have, Reiki, all of that type of thing. So I started, like, we didn't have naturopaths back in the UK back then. So I started going down the natural remedies, how to heal my migraine, how to help with my periods and stuff like that. And that helped, all right? So it helped me on a physical body. There was still stuff going on, right? And it was actually stuck in my emotional and spiritual body. And then, one day I met this healer. She came in to have her hair done and she was talking about what she did. And I found it fascinating. So she said, come along and have a session. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Did not know what I was letting myself in for. Good thing, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, went along, had this session, and for me, it's different for everybody, right? But I just saw this past life in me, right? And I was like, that's amazing. So this cleared this past life stuff and walked out floating on cloud nine. I felt amazing. I felt really peaceful. And I didn't think I was a person that had anxiety. Oh my God, I had buckets of it. But I just didn't know it was anxiety. I just hid it so well.
Mhm.
And I went back and had another session. And after a couple of sessions, my reactions to things, like my children, the anger was gone, the snappiness, the criticism, self-criticism, judgment started to alleviate. And I was like, God, this is pretty cool, right? This, I feel good. And after about
Mhm.
6 months, my parents in the UK, I FaceTime them once a week, said to me, what's happened? What's happened with you? What's happened with you? I said, what do you mean? What's happened? And they just said, well, you look happy. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, they said, we've never really seen you look happy. And I thought, wow, I'm
Wow.
40 old years of age and you've
Mhm.
never seen me look this happy. I was like, this thing is powerful. So from
Mhm.
that was my self-care. Every month I would have a 3-hour big session on myself, right? That was because I felt so good. And what happened was, because I was working on myself, changing my beliefs, changing my frequency, feeling good about myself, the outside world was a representation of it. So my clients were getting better, right? Some of them were dropping off, but
Mhm.
better ones were coming in, ones that respected my boundaries, ones that, I could put my prices up. They didn't
Mhm.
have a problem with it. The ones that did have a problem with it dropped off. Okay. and my life started to change for the better. My relationships were getting better. So it was doing that healing was having an impact in all the different areas. So my finances, my business, me, my confidence, my health and well-being. And it was like, God, this is fascinating, right? I want to understand more about this. So we went on this journey, and then I was like, oh, I wonder if we could heal the business. Let's work on some businessy stuff. So we started playing around with that. And I thought, God, this was fascinating, right? So everything has always been a bit of trial and error, probably being a bit like a hairdresser. Oh, if I put that bit of colour in, what would happen there? So I played
Yeah.
around with it a lot for me for a number of years. And then I got to the point of, I don't understand enough of it. I think I need to do the courses to understand more about this modality. So I went and did the courses, and then I just had this massive aha. I did the courses to work on myself, not because I wanted to do clients. I had a very successful business, and I did not intend to do this type of work. But I just had this massive, I want to call it like a spiritual reawakening. And I thought, oh my God, I can do this stuff. I'm really quite good at this. And it would be a tremendous waste if I couldn't help other people, because I knew I could make people look amazing on the outside. Yeah. I could do their colors, I could do their makeup, do their hair, give them a complete new image and makeover, and they'd look great. But you still go up to that mirror and look at yourself. It wasn't until you do the internal work that the
Absolutely.
external work really becomes powerful. And I thought, I've got to do this. So I literally shut my door on a very successful business. My poor clients, they needed healing after, some of them had healing because I
Yeah.
was going. And I closed my business and I stepped into this arena. And it wasn't long after doing that, actually, I met UK a number of years ago. Um, and I just thought, I've got to do my passion and my purpose. And yeah, that's been my journey through it all. Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. That's great. It's great. Earlier you talked about how how you are able to shift, like within a session, shift their confidence. How does that work? Like how exactly can you do that?
How do you do the magic, you mean?
Yes.
So,
How does
so
that
the
work?
magic can be done. The magic can be done a number of ways. So the first thing you need to realize is, what's the intention for the session? What is this client wanting? What are you wanting to get out? Okay, because then you'll be given like a GPS roadmap. Okay, I do have sometimes clients come in and say, I don't know what to work on. Let's go in. I'm trusting the universe. Let's clear the next layer. That happens as well. But when people just work over a few sessions with me, they're like, this is the issue, this is the intention, and this is ideally the outcome that I wanna get. Great. So then we look at, okay, is it emotional, physical, mental, spiritual? Because that then gives me an idea of what modality I need to work on. So obviously, if it's health, I'm going to work with medical intuitive or maybe theta healing. It could be going into the Akashic records as well. So I have all my psychic senses. The one that's only half open is my sense of smell, but everything else, so I see, sense, feel, know, I'm audio. So I have an amazing ability. I'm very blessed that I can channel all this information. So I get
Mhm.
shown, do we work on like a past life? Is it here and now? Can it
Mhm.
be something that's blocking the future? So we do the investigation, right? So we find out what is going on, what needs to be cleared. That's like the beginning of a session. The second part is, okay, once we clear that, we never leave an empty void, because if we leave an empty void under the law of vacuum, laws of the universe, the same stuff will come just back in. So you're forever. So if your listeners have had healing, right, and they just keep clearing, but don't install something better within them, the
Mhm.
law vacuum will just keep bringing same shit, different day, right? Same things all the time. So if you're a person that's like, oh, not this again, I'm clearing that. Oh, not this again, clearing that. because you've opened an empty void. The universe will just keep going, oh, you want to clear that? You want to So it's like you're forever decluttering your wardrobe and you never end up with a brand new wardrobe or even nicer clothes. Okay, that's probably the easiest way to explain it. So the second part of the session is like, okay, you want to get to XYZ. What do
Mhm.
you need to get there quicker and faster in a better, more graceful way, or an up-leveled way, or a fun way, etc.? So what we do is we tune in and go, okay, what are the alignment energies? What energies do you need? What feelings, what emotions, what beliefs do you need to take you to Z, right? Without having to go through the whole alphabet, if that makes sense. So we
Mhm.
install better stuff within you, and then the third part is you doing the embodiment. So it's like, okay, that's where you were. This is what you want. Put that in. Okay. And the next part is the embodiment. So now you have these new beliefs. Now you have these new feelings. Now you have these new alignment energies. How do you live your daily life from that? So then we talk about how you live your daily life from that. So if it's in a business, it might be, okay, you're going to start showing up online, or it might be you're doing this. And then you go and you do the embodiment part. So if it was health and well-being, okay, your embodiment is seeing a naturopath, getting some supplements. It might be that
Mhm.
you're going to start eating better. You will know within a short space of time how successful you are at that. You monitor it, and then say, for instance, if you're 50% successful at that, but there's still a little bit of naughty eating habits there, we go back, okay, what's the next layer, and we clear it like that. So within business, it's really, really fascinating, because not only can you do it in you, right, your business has a soul, your business has an Akashic record. So we can connect you and your business together into alignment, so that there is a beautiful relationship between the two of you as well. That's where it starts to get really fun, and that's where you can start to make quantum leaps in your life and your business, because you're bringing the two together and you're having this beautiful dance and harmony as well. And that was something that I did. I knew back in my hairdressing days that you could work on your business, but what I didn't realize, and I do now, is that you work with the soul of your business, so that you
Mhm.
can, for instance, you can do the clearing, set new intentions. So your new intentions might be a certain monetary intention within your business. It might be that you set the intention around a beautiful program. It might be that you want to bring in team members. So everybody's different with what the intention is, and then it's the embodiment of that. So it is like launching that program. It is, taking on that team member, because once you've set that intention right, the team member, the universe will deliver you some team members, right, for you to interview. It will
Right.
happen.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Um, So yes, and speaking of super interesting in talking about like the business and the Akashic records of the actual business, one thing that if you were anything like me and you have really evolved in your business, like or you, Claire, you as well,
Yeah.
went from like image coaching into more of the spiritual route, like kind of as you went. I went from health coach to kind of like a meditation coach for moms into what I'm doing now, which is soul led work. And so, yeah, like we all have this evolution. And Claire has helped me to shut down, energetically shut down those other businesses, as well as physically, like making sure the website's not still up and running. And, like these
Yeah.
practical things, but then the energetics as well. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot, I've done a lot of training in the spiritual realms, right? But I think sometimes the best training is you doing the work and just being completely open to the messages that come through. So for me, like, I went from my hairdressing business was CG hairdressing, then my image business was holistic image, and now I'm a Claire Gorman coach, Claire Gorman coaching. That's my official business name. What I realized was like I was still manifesting like people like messaging me going, "Oh, I've seen you on Google. Can I have a haircut?" And I'm not joking. 2 days ago, I had someone message me going, "Do you still do colours?" Right? It was a test from the universe, okay? Because the eclipse shutting the door on it, right? But it was so funny. And I was like, okay, why is that happening? And I heard you need to energetically shut the Akashic records down of that old business because it's still open. You haven't closed it. You know, like on a human level, we've like, oh, maybe not paid for the domain name, but you know, you might still have an email address. You might still have a Google account on that business. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, you need to close old doorways within your records, but you also need to open up new doorways within your records. And this is one of the things that sometimes I do with clients that are wanting to step into the arena of a new business, is that we open up the Akashic records of that new business, and then we install success anchors, right? And I've had, you know, if you can't tell by my personality now, I like healing to be fun and joyful, right? And oh my God, I've had some hysterical laughs with clients when we've opened up their Akashic records. So sometimes I actually get spirit guide animals come in, right? And you know, I've had, no joke, I've had like penguins, I've had squirrels, peacocks, but actually when you look up the spiritual meaning of a spirit animal, it
Mhm.
is absolutely fascinating. So I'll have spirit animals come in and we install that energy frequency into the Akashic records of that business. It might be crystals as well. I do a lot around crystals, and like when you read the meanings of what those crystals are, it's absolutely fascinating. So what it
Yeah.
is you're just pulling like meanings and energies. Sometimes it can be archangels, sometimes it can be dragons, and they go into that Akashic business record, and it's like imagine, like, you know, someone when they're having a heart attack, they have the CPR and the pads, and it
Mhm.
goes on, and it just suddenly all this energy goes into this new business, and it just goes boom, and then it becomes successful. Because otherwise, what you're doing, it's a massive hard slog to try and
So,
install energy into that Akashic record because you're starting off from zero.
mhm.
So this way, it just opens it up. The universe knows that business is open, it's active. Okay, let's get it started. And everything, that momentum is starting to roll in a lot quicker. So yeah, I've had some really funny situations with it. But in session, you know, I'll see the animal, I'll see the crystal, and we'll read the meaning. And it's like, yeah, I can see why that needs to go into that business record to give it life, to give it oxygen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to
Yeah.
close or you got to open. 100%. Yeah.
I remember one of the last sessions that we had that where it was there was a crystal that came up that we neither one of us were really super familiar with, and
Mhm.
when you read it, it was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense for what we're doing with my Akashic readings for business and all of that. So yeah, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, crystalline energy. Yeah.
And I wanted to share. So one of the things that brought me into Claire's world was this idea of meeting the soul of your business. You know, I mean, we all, if you are running a soul led business, you fully understand that it has life and breath of its own. And sometimes it wants to move much faster than we humans are ready for, right? Like we have a ton of resistance, like that, the witch wound we were talking about, persecution. You know, all of those visibility issues, all of the actually, yeah, that's it. Really, just comes down to perception of what people perceive. A lot of it. So we are hesitant and resistant, but yet the business itself, like it really wants to run. So that was one of the things that attracted me most to you, Claire, was um, kind of giving it that, and how do I do that? So I signed up for a soul of the business kind of offer. It was like a session. It was like a mapping session, right?
Yeah,
Mapping.
I think we did a quantum jump first, didn't we? Like a mapping. where we
Well,
mapped out like what was your trajectory of your business 2, 5, and 10 years. Yeah, what
yes.
was there,
And
and
what?
also what were the blocks in
Mhm.
that 2, 5, and 10 years. So it was like mental, physical, spiritually, emotionally, those blocks. So when you find out what the blocks are, of course, what you can do is you can clear the blocks. So you get rid of the old, put the best in, and then do the embodiment. So it's
Mhm.
a beautiful dance. It's a beautiful dance of mixing. So that's why, I in my Align program, it's working with the business in one. So in a month we do one session on the business, so whether the business needs healing, whether the business needs like crystal energy, or a bit more life force in it. But what will come up is your resistance to that. Then your session is we're clearing your resistance. So it's that beautiful dance of creating flow and momentum, right? So the hurdles come up, right? We move from our comfort zone into our stretch zone. It comes up, the glass ceiling comes up, the resistance comes up, whether it's health, whether it's money, whether it's self-belief, whatever it is. Okay, it's come up, let's clear it. It's come up, let's clear it. And that's where we can create rapid change and transformation in you and your business. Yeah, I mean, I have people that have known me a long time, and they're like, how have you done it so quickly? And it's like, you see it come up, you don't stay stuck in it, we clear it. We are go-getters. I'm a manifesting generator, right? If you haven't guessed that. So, I'm like, woof,
Yeah. Speak.
do it
Do you
anyway.
work on healing the stuff for yourself? Because you're right. You have moved really rapidly. I
I've
mean,
done
you're.
a, I've done a lot in this year, because this year is the year of abundance, right? So we've got massive opportunity to create change and transformation. I had photo session the other week, and someone said to me, it wasn't long ago you had a photo session. And I said, yeah, but I've changed energetically, and you can see it in my pictures. So I don't look. So for me, because obviously I've been in the hair and beauty industry, I change energetically, but I change physically as well. That's the great thing about healing is, right, you look younger. I have people say to me now, what am I? I'm 49 this year. I have people say to me, you look younger now than you did 10 years ago. And I go, yeah,
Wow.
it's the healing. I mean, it's the
Right.
supplements and all of that type of stuff, and
So,
all that
yeah.
helps.
Stress
But
really
it's
ages.
mindset and self-belief and energy, and absolutely, absolutely. So you can make rapid changes and transformations. But when you were saying about time, right? Yeah, on a higher dimension, because where your soul of your business is up in the like ethers.
Mhm.
There's no such thing as time and space, right? So that's where like manifesting a teammate comes in really, really quickly, because they're just like, oh yeah, come on, let's just keep going. Drop it in, drop it in, drop it in. It's us on the human plane, right? We're going, what will people say about me? Oh, this and oh, that. So we block it. We block it. Whereas when you work on that self-belief and confidence, right, you're like, nope, I've got my big girl pants on and I can do this, right? And we go through the big girl pants thing. I went through it 2 weeks ago, right? And I feel it more energetically in me before it shows up. And I get this sort of like shake in my body, and I'm like, oh, oh, I walk around the house going, oh. And my husband said, I'm just like the shitting myself bit before the up level comes. And he's like, what? I'm like, it's okay, I'll be fine. I've just got to hold that energy and have that trust and self belief. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then
And what
after
is
like a few days, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I've gone through it. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. And then the universe will test me, i.e., woman ringing me and saying, do you still do colours? And I'm like, oh, it wouldn't take me 5 minutes to do it. And I'm like, no, 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 universe. No,
right?
that's
Right.
who I am now. That's who I am.
Yeah,
So I recommended her to someone else.
I know this is real. It's a real thing being tested, and you and having that
Yeah.
strength to know, like you get to show the universe what it is that you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our job.
Yeah. Because I could
Yeah.
take the easy route and go back to colours, because, it's easy peasy for me. I do it with my eyes closed.
Yeah. But the
But that's
rewards are,
not where I'm supposed to be.
yeah,
Yeah. And we do
exactly.
get tested. We do get tested. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Um, yes. Yes. So tell us, what kind of resources do you have that maybe you want to share with our listeners, watchers?
Yeah. So I have a amazing Facebook community called Holistic Spiritual Community for Women, and there's great value in there. So if you want to come and hang out with me, come and hang out in my Facebook community. So in there every week I do a live energy clearing for people. I give guidance. Every month I do a free event as well. So around different things. I think the next one is breaking free of soul contracts. So, women that are open to like spiritual practices or want to understand more about what I do and how I do it, they come in. So it's really about helping women align, awaken, and flourish. So that's my community. Come and enjoy in that. The other thing
Mhm.
that I have is I have some complimentary meditations on my website. Obviously, you'll drop the link below, but there's about 6 or 7 complimentary meditations in there. I created a toolbox for self-healing, but there's things like a morning meditation, an evening meditation, there's a forgiveness meditation, there's a grounding meditation. So there's, a number of things in there that are really going to support you. And you'll get used to my voice. You'll understand what it feels like to have a healing session, because some of it is meditative, meditation. It doesn't always have to be. I have a few clients that aren't really into closing their eyes. They're just like, yeah, they're real go-getters, entrepreneurs. They're like, no, just clear it for me and put all the good stuff in and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I have some that are like, oh no, take me out into the universe and I want to experience the whole body thing. So, whatever you're into. But yeah, there's some meditations, and then there's the Facebook community as well. So you can come and hang out with a great community of women. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I can also validate that as well. I have, as someone who has consumed all of Claire's meditations and then some, and then also just being in the Facebook group as well. She does give tons of value in paid workshops versus the Facebook. They are the same thing. You get the same Claire, and it's just a
Absolutely.
wonderful introduction into your world.
The reason why I did the Facebook community, right? Because when I was started to go out on this spiritual journey and I wanted to understand like certain things and how did that work and ask questions, like if I felt sick, what was that about? I created the Facebook community to basically to support people on a journey, right? You can join lots of spiritual groups and they're great, but
Mhm.
I don't actually know if there's anyone doing exactly what I do. Um, and feeling into what a spiritual healing, past life regression, tuning in, understanding what that means. I mean, I had a woman the other day, she was like, I'm in this repetitive cycle, and I really don't understand how to break free from it. And I energetically scanned her because obviously I'm like quite psychic, and I just said, it's an issue. Something happened to you at the age of 7, and this, and this. And she was like, yeah. She said, I moved countries and I changed schools, and this happened. And I was like, that's the root. So we need to work on the root. So having someone that is intuitive and psychic that can go right, pinpoint, and this was just in the comments on the Facebook group, to pinpoint it and go, that's what we need to work on, that will be cleared, this is what we do. And it can make people go, oh my god, really? How did you know that? And it's like, well, I don't know that, I get told that, your guides are telling me that.
Mhm.
So come on, let's just clear it. You've lived long enough with it. Let's just clear it and move on. Make your life great.
Yeah, I know. I still want to get into how we want to hold on to that sometimes and are afraid to go in and clear, but it is the guides who are the guides, the universe source, God, everything in existence wants our highest and best good, wants us to keep moving in that trajectory always. And so all the guidance that you get, that whether we get it intuitively personally or we get it intuitively from our coaches and guides, it's all coming in order to help you to ascend.
Because everybody loves you, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
sometimes you've got to just change a few beliefs that you're deserving of love. And but we can
Yes.
talk. We could actually just do a whole podcast every week on this, Kate.
Speaking of, if you have questions for Claire about any of these subjects, pop them in the comments and I'll have her on again later and she can answer all of them
Yeah,
for you.
maybe we do. Maybe we do a few more. If people want to know more stuff, right, and they're interested in this, I'm a hairdresser, right? Ex-hairdresser. I love to talk. You have to actually shut me up.
We can talk forever. Yes.
Yeah, if
Let's,
people want to know more, I'm happy to come back. I love this stuff.
okay, sounds good. We'll do it. And if you could leave us with one message for women who are just starting out or struggling to bring their soul-led business to life, what would it be?
Get help. Don't
Yeah.
figure it out on your own, okay? There's some really great guides and mentors out there that can get you opened up and moving a hell of a lot quicker, right? And a lot of people have this belief that they have to figure it out on their own. They have to do it the hard way, right?
Okay.
Don't do it the hard way. Please don't do it the hard way. It's much more fun when you're meeting like-minded people. Um, invest in like a few sessions, invest in a program, make sure you have a clarity call with that person and that you like that person. Okay, that's key as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, don't stay stuck. Get some help. Absolutely.
I love it. Don't stay stuck. Get help.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you so much. Again, we will drop all of the links, all of the information for the Facebook group and the free meditations, and how you can connect with Claire and learn more from her. We'll drop all that in the show notes, and so that you have all of those. If you have questions, please put them in the comments, and we would be happy to have Claire on again at a later time and answer them all. So, Claire, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm number one.